How you doing, everybody? There's a couple of things that you shouldn't do in Japan, actually a lot more than that. This is one of them. I'm going to start off with this live stream by saying, yeah, I'm not going to tell you not to tip. That's something that you're going to have to do with your heart. I hope that this video will convince you not to tip. But you have to do what you think is right, but this is wrong. Didn't I just kind of told you not to do it. Anyways, I saw this tip box right here at a restaurant in the basement of this place in Nihonbashi. I'm not going to name the restaurant, but I searched this online and there's articles about it. This has been something that's been debated in Japan in 2025. And I did more research and digging in this in 2021 during the pandemic. There was actually a company started up to bring American tip culture to Japan. We're going to discuss this in this. It failed miserably. That's the bottom line. But we're going to look at this. It's really fascinating stuff. Again, this is an American cultural thing, all right? There's a lot of American tourists. American tourists to Japan are increasing. You give tips to restaurant staff, to workers. The biggest reason why you don't do it is because every single person, it singles out one person, the server, but in Japanese restaurants, they consider themselves a team. It's not just the server. Their job isn't just to serve either. They're doing a lot of other stuff, typically at izakayas and restaurants. So when you tip one person, you're kind of insulting the team because that person is not working for themselves. Do you understand? That's Japanese culture 101. The second thing is that they got to report this tips in their taxes. And most of these businesses, they pay the taxes for the workers. So it makes it a big mess when you hand cash to a worker. The manager sees that. They got to follow the rules. The other employees are going to be upset because this person just made like 20 bucks. All right. Now they got to claim that as taxes. The companies don't want to deal with this extra burden because that's not part of the system. Tips, now in the US, no tax on tips. But never mind that. Let's go into this. This is an actual tip jar. I just took this picture 30 minutes ago, which is just insane. All right. Here's the restaurant in the basement here. It's a gyukatsu chain. And you can see I was shocked. Actually, I didn't think that they really had a tip jar. I was like, really? And there's a lot of bills in there. And that's the most unusual thing. There's a lot of money in that tip jar. So either they're doing that to try to get people to tip, or I don't know, like, what do you guys think about this? What is your opinion of this gyukatsu restaurant? We're going to hear their point of view in an article. They were interviewed about it, but there's a lot of money in there. So let's take a look at this article here. I think it'll explain a lot, and we're going to take a look at some more information here. But this came out in May 16th of this year by Sora News. We love Sora News. A Japanese restaurant chain installs tip boxes in response to foreign tourists leaving tips, sparks debate. It sparked controversy, more or less. It's less debate, but this thing it's kind of old news in the sense that they went through this in 2021. During the pandemic. I'll talk about that in a second. Tipping isn't a thing in Japanese restaurants, while some foreign language cultural guidebooks frame the situation as tipping being rude or offensive to the sensibilities of Japanese restaurateurs. It'd be more accurate to say tipping in Japanese restaurants is seen as weird. That's very true. Something they don't expect or need customers to do. It's sort of insulting, but it's just bizarre. It's like, half the time the server will chase you down and say you forgot money. They'll chase you down to the street. However, one Japanese restaurant chain has started accepting, and you could even say asking for tips. You saw the tip jar as a direct response to an increase in foreign customers. Recently, a photo taken at a branch of a beef cutlet restaurant. The photo shows a clear plastic box near the register, which is still there today, where customers pay their meals with an in-English message, tip box, thank you, written on it with a number of small bills inside. That's exactly what I saw 30 minutes ago. It seems like it's at all branches of this shop. Now, this is where it gets interesting here. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. This restaurant chain says it did this in response to a growing number of incidents. This is their response, in which foreign tourist customers attempted to give cash tips directly to the restaurant waitstaff. However, under Japanese law, income tax would have to be paid on such gratuities. And with employers often handling their employees' tax filings in Japan, This restaurant decided to install a tip box so it could centrally manage the associated reporting legalities. We saw this as a recognition of the efforts being made by everyone at the restaurant, the spokesman said. Among online reactions are Japanese residents approving of the move. I don't think so. Seeing it as a way for the restaurant to reap benefits of the unprecedented inbound tourism, international tourism boom. It just makes me feel uncomfortable to see a tip box in Japan, in which many foreign travelers are flush with cash. Are they? This article is a little bit, I don't think foreign travelers are flush with cash. Not everybody comes from the United States here. To throw around as a result of favorable to them exchange rates following the yen's drop in value. Others, though, are expressing, that's me, worry and frustration about how foreign tourists offering tips and restaurants accepting them could influence dining and culture in Japan. Currently, restaurants in Japan neither expect nor rely on tips. This is true today. So that's pretty much the article. I'll put a link in the description. WRX Turbo is in the house regularly. It's nice to see you. Thank you for that. Look, this is one of I've seen the tip box in a couple of other places, usually where there's foreign tourists. I don't see it nobody expects tips. I recommend that you don't tip. Look, if this particular restaurant chain, which I will keep nameless, other places have covered it. I don't like to put a spotlight on anybody that's not glowing, if possible. But they could obviously say, please don't tip. They could make a sign that says no tipping. They could do that. Or they could add a vending machine at the entrance of the restaurant so the foreign tourists could pay before they eat with a sign that says tips not accepted, if this is such a problem. They don't do that. The best restaurants, the fast restaurants where you want fast turnover and make more money, which is great for the business, then they could pay their staff more, right? In theory. The vending machines, you put the cash in or you swipe, you can actually just touch your credit card, it pays. You get a ticket, hand it to them, that's your order. Meal comes in like 3 minutes. It's so fast because the menus are pretty limited to like 1 or 2 dishes. And you eat and you get the heck out, and the turnover is faster. So this system of paying after the meal maybe is not the way. Maybe they need to change their method. Maybe they need to put a no tip sign. Or maybe, I think they are soliciting. They want the tips. I think they want the tips. Why can't just Americans stop trying to make the entire world at the... Look, you can't... Makasi writes this here, to make the world at their image and simply respect local cultures. The bottom line, though, is that a lot of American tourists don't travel internationally. And I don't want American tourists to stop traveling. I think it's great that they come to Japan. I think, because I'm American, I think it's great to be able to experience other cultures. But we can't, and this is the other side of it, I'm going to make the argument for the American tourists. We can't expect people traveling for the first time that just want a quick vacation. They don't want to research. They work hard in America, like 60-hour weeks. They work way more than they do in Europe. Most of my friends are overworked in the United States, but they like money, so they keep doing it. They just work hard. They have good habits. They don't want to research this stuff. When they come to Japan, they just want to do it. And some people don't think with their heads, they think with their feelings and their emotions. And they think, I must tip these workers. They look like they're working so hard. I feel like I must give them something. So that feeling is selfish in Japan. I just want to say it outright. Your feeling is selfish. You're not thinking about these people and you're putting them in a bad spot by tipping them. You think you're helping them, you're actually hurting the team, cohesion, you're hurting the restaurant because you're making them do more work because they're the ones who have to pay each worker's taxes. The workers are usually, most of them are full-time staff, I believe. Any full-time staff or a lot of the staff are paid by hour. There's an itaku contract, like where they do everything. I've been on those contracts before, but a lot of them are hired as workers or staff of the restaurant, and the company pays those taxes. It's a headache. All the money is dealt with by the corporation. So I know you feel like you want to do it, but you're doing wrong instead of right. That's the right word, Michael. I don't want to be harsh. That sounded a little bit harsh. You're unintentionally selfish. I think most of you know that now. I mean, most of you watching this aren't. Why do people think Americans are forcing the restaurant to put out the tip box? They're not. That's the other thing. They don't have to put out the tip box. This is their solution. But my solution, which nobody listens to me anyways, not directly, is to just say no tips and put a vending machine and have people pay if this was such a problem. But it's an image problem, and I gotta be honest with you, guys. The gyukatsu restaurants, a lot of the people that eat there, they're not Japanese. They are foreigners, so they charge a higher price. I don't see a lot of Japanese eating gyukatsu. I think most Japanese would just rather have ramen. But there's this fascination with deep frying wagyu, which I think is a huge waste. But people eat what they want. It tastes good, but I think you ruin the meat. I'm not a big fan of gyukatsu, to be honest with you, but go for it, you know? I'm not gonna say don't try it. Americans are like 1% of the tourists. I blame the Australians. There are more Aussies here probably. There's 40 million Aussies and 350 million Americans, more give or take. But look, the tipping thing is an American thing, and it's crazy right now in the States. You go to a Starbucks and there's a menu for tipping and you have to bypass it. And I'm unabashed. I won't tip if they're just serving an iced coffee. I look down at the tip thing, I look at them, and I go like this. I'm sorry. If I order, I don't know. I'm not that cruel. I'm not that cruel. I feel like I want to do that every time. It makes me feel bad because I don't understand why you would tip digitally like this. I can understand like rounding up perhaps, but giving the coins is one thing. Doing it, I don't know. Let's hear what you have to say. Like a $1 tip isn't that much. Maybe it's American culture. I had to be honest, I did leave tips. I don't want to admit it. It is a guilt thing. I would round up. I do leave tips. It depends on how challenging my order is. If you're one of these people who are like, I want 2 shots of espresso with a pump of vanilla and this and this and this, yeah, you better tip. I think maybe that's tipping. But if you're like, I want an iced coffee, I don't think you need to tip for that. You know what I mean? I think you go a little bit overboard. When I get a Cinnabon, I don't want to tip the Cinnabon guy because they just put a bun in the box. You know what I mean? Like my interaction was like 3 seconds. All right, this is where things get interesting. Jay Jersey Girl, Americans complain about tipping in the U.S. and how it's out of hand, but you go to Japan and try forced tipping. Stop ruining Japan. Yes, please stop it. I click no tip with no hesitation. No one will guilt trip me. It's hard. Like I know my viewers wouldn't do it. I know a lot of you would, and most of you probably wouldn't. I want to be on the wooden side, but every now and then if I give a difficult order, I'm breaking down. All right. I'm getting off the topic. Personality of a brick wall. Back to his regular personality here. Imagine if the U.S. figures out their taxes and having its citizens figure it out and punishing those that made mistakes. I wonder how Japan's tax system. Japan's tax system is a lot easier than the American tax system, mainly because a lot of these workers don't have to do their own taxes. When I was an English teacher, I really didn't have to do my own taxes. I had to sign a paper and that was it. It was so easy. And Zane, thank you for the tip. That's why I'm somewhat divided, because here I am, a YouTuber. I get super chats, which are essentially tips. I see super chats as gifts. Patreon is support. This would be a tip because YouTube takes their part of the tip here. By the way, for those that want to support me on Patreon, this is this month's postcard, a very delicious, the Yamagata Cherry Auction. This box right here, $10,000, folks, for this box right here. These are 2 L-size Sato Nishiki cherries at auction. And I went to the farm and filmed that this summer. The episode's coming soon. So thank you so much for the support. That postcard went out yesterday, by the way, so it's on the way. Joy, you got one too. So with Japan Meteorological Association stamps. I got to support JMA. I think it's an agency instead of association. All right, guys, this is the most interesting part of stuff. All right, come on over here. I got a secret for you. I'm gonna put you in the bushes here. Japan tried to do this. They tried to do this in 2021. There's a Wikipedia on this, all right? It's called the TIP Project. I'm not joking. Japan tried to do this. TIP Project was a business venture and organization which unsuccessfully, thank goodness, pushed to introduce American practices of gratuity into Japanese culture. First launched in 2021 and managed by the TIP Promotion Association, a real thing. It was shut down in the first half of 2023. Don't let the door hit you. Let the door hit you on the way out. I don't want to be cruel. One of those screen doors out in the countryside. The one that Cosmo Kramer had in Seinfeld. It nice sound to it. If that hits you, it doesn't hurt so much. Actually, they kind of do. Because there's spring in there, right? But they really tried to do this here. All right, let's go over this. This is real. Somebody tried to do this. There's a logo for it and everything. Founded by a YouTuber, I believe. I gotta put this to the side because you have to see my reaction. All right, let's take a look at there's the founder. Let's look at the background of it right here. All right, Japan was previously noted as a culture where gratuity practices largely did not, it's kind of blocked by my camera here. Numerous travel agencies, blogs, companies have written about how in Japan, tipping is considered either like rude, it's not a practice, it's considered to be, it's a bad thing in Japan. This is a fact. In restaurants and the food industries where American tipping is mostly prevalent, Japanese culture treats good services as something to be expected by default, not rewarded. Cultural customs are traditionally give Japanese food service workers at least one free meal per working day. So Japanese food services at a restaurant, you're gonna get a free meal there, right? When my friends worked at an izakaya, they got to eat when they closed the shop or before the shop opened. Some of them would eat a meal or they'd have a meal in the back. So the restaurants take care of their workers in Japan, for the most part. Not all companies are the same. I have to say that. In Japan, so this is, in Japan, high services like geisha, there aren't a lot of them, all right? And ryokan hotels, people who are full-time staff will get an envelope of cash at the end of the year, okay? They do get tipped at the end of the year one time. Hold on a second. I want to put this small for a second. I learned this too. I like to go to Japanese baseball games. It's interesting. It's interesting. We tip services in Japan sometimes. There are otaku, I guess you call them like geeks, I suppose. They go to baseball games all the time. Baseball otaku, I guess you could call them. They go there for the beer girls. You guys know what I'm talking about? Some of you do. The beer girls, they carry a backpack with a keg on it, like a 10-liter keg. So it's like 10 to 12 kilograms because they got the cups and everything else with it. Now you just touch now. It's all cashless. And at the last game of the year, the fans will give an envelope of cash to these beer girls to say thank you. The regular customers. I think that's nice. Unexpected, but nice. So these beer girls, they're like stadium hostesses in a way. It's interesting. Some of you probably didn't know about that because you don't live here, but I ask a lot of questions and I got a lot of answers. And that was one of them when I went. I was actually at this Baystar Stadium in Yokohama, inside the dugout, inside the clubhouse, and I got a chance to go on the field, which is sacred ground. A lot of the Japanese consider that sacred ground. So let's look at the project history. Founded in 2021 by a Japanese YouTuber. The project, because it believed that Americans' practices would help raise the self-esteem and happiness of Japanese service industries during the pandemic. All right, I get it. That was a tough time for all services. Seriously, people just weren't making money. They were getting laid off left and right. So the project, this is where it gets funny here. All right, I'm going to be on the side laughing. The backlash against the project was immediate. Translations of Japanese comments in Kotaku article that covered the project read, "This doesn't suit Japan," and "This is a pain in the beep." One comment suggested that if 20% is a standard tip, I was like, I need to go back to that. If 20% was the standard tip, discount all prices by 20%. That makes sense. That makes sense. I'm going to show you what their system was in a second. The tip project vanished in 2023, but there's still archives of it. The Financial Times celebrated the failure. Financial Times celebrating any business's failure is a very unique thing. Of tip project, with columnist Leo Lewis writing that the project's failure was a rare time when people should relish the failure of a business venture. Lewis proceeds to describe the failure of tip project as Japan's culture being spared from a social tyranny in comparison to the over-high gratuity amounts given in American culture. Lewis draws the ultimate conclusion that tipping is a fundamentally un-Japanese practice. Why you would bring Western culture to Japan, a Japanese person to do it, I get the sentiment. It's not culture trumps sentiment. That's what I'm saying for all of the Americans wanting to tip. Culture trumps your feelings, which is misplaced. I think this is really funny. I don't stop here. Steps of life, my standard tip is 50% and no one will tell me otherwise. I'm really with you on that, 15%. 20% only if something special happened, or if it's a really big party, like a lot of people. They got to get that French tray out. Japan was previously noted as a culture where gratuity practices largely did not exist. Okay, there's an archived website to this, so let's check this out here. Let's check it out. I'm keeping the window big for your pleasure because this is funny. All right, here's the website. There's some business. Is that Horiemon from the failed live door? He's actually a really good entrepreneur here. He's got a lot of smart thinking, a unique perspective, let's just say. So they had a system, the way that they wanted this to work. And I'm going to show you the tips. Oh, here it is. So they gave restaurants that wanted to participate in this program a tip sheet. So you'd write in the tip, you'd write in what it was for, and then give it to the worker, which would put it into your credit card, right? That's what it looked like. Let me tell you why this is so bad. This association, I'm just guessing here, but let's just say it like this. Most associations or business practices with entrepreneurs like this, they take a cut of everything. So can you imagine this agency giving out lots of these papers to people, and they're not taking like 5% or something from these tips. So everybody takes a cut from this stuff. All right, so it's like a business venture. So it's a failed business venture. It wasn't an NPO. All right, so everyone's taking a cut of it. They had to put down the purpose for the tax reasons, right? So when you do the tip and you put it in the total, it's the company that has to deal with all of this, not the individual worker. So you'd write in whatever you want. But what do you think? Are you glad that this failed as well? Is it just me? Rather than tipping, drop extra coins into the shrine, depending on the donations for maintenance. That is, you know what, personality of a brick wall? I like that sentiment. Let's go do that. Let's see if we can do that. There's one right here. There used to be no signal in this area, but that changed over the course of time. We have, oh my goodness, okay, I don't know if I can do it. It's a really long line. I've got a 500 yen coin and I'm gonna put this in there. It's a shiny new one too. It's like $5. I don't know if this shrine deserves it though. That's not the right way to say it. I don't think that this shrine needs it. There's a local shrine. I'm going to put this in. I'll put it on Instagram. Always verify. I say what I do and I do what I mean. This is a shrine that's been here for a very long time, that was redone when they renovated this entire area. And you can see there's a lot of people praying here. This is Obon. So this is a really holy day, and that's why there's a line of people here. Typically there's nobody here, but yeah, that's a personality of brick wall that is such a great idea. if you feel bad for the workers, go and tip a local shrine or temple. Because this is where I seek my spiritual guidance. I know a lot of monks, Buddhist monks and Shinto priests, and I will consult with them for, you can talk to them about life stuff just like you would a rabbi, a priest in the U.S., or an imam or any religious leader. They usually know a lot of stuff. I have a friend who is from the University of Michigan, my arch enemy, and he's a priest at a Ukrainian Orthodox church in Tokyo. And during the pandemic, I had a really hard time, and I was able to talk with him about non-football stuff. And I'm deeply grateful, and I'm reminding myself now that I should go in to service and leave a nice donation, which is hard because he's from Michigan, but I have to say those from the Buckeye State are quite generous, except when we lose, which is not that often in football. I've lived in both cultures, tipping and no tipping, for years, and my vote is no tipping. All right, I want to end right here, a nice shaded area. Why is tipping bad? I've noticed I stopped using this site called Blue Sky and Threads, because it seemed like I kept getting these, it seemed like it was overly political, which I don't want in my daily life, okay? Me and Peter and a lot of friends, we turn off the news, you know what I mean? You're better off not watching the news. Anything I get, probably I hear it from you guys. Except on election years, because you have to vote. You have to kind of be informed. So the thing with them is I see a lot of people telling you how to tip. And if you don't want to tip 30%, don't go out and eat. And they show their bills. And I think that this is the most ridiculous thing, because then people just stop eating in general. A lot of people have less money than they did 4 years ago. Maybe I hope that this just changes. But I only went out to eat, I think, maybe 2 times when I was in the United States to restaurants. It just wasn't something that I did. But there is this sense of entitlement that they're entitled to a tip. A tip is not voluntary based on services. Some people that don't have any money might not tip at all. And that's just part of it. I was a waiter for a couple of years in college and in Columbus, Ohio, at a restaurant called Spinnaker's in City Center in the downtown mall right next to the state capitol. Great restaurant. They had bread in flower pots. I got to eat them all the time and take them home, which is great. So I was always well fed. Manager was great as well. It was a good team. I was the only straight server, which was also great because I got to learn about, in 1996, got to learn about all sorts of different people. Andre was the head waiter, and him and his boyfriend would teach me all sorts of things after work about, what they did. 'Cause that was interesting stuff. Columbus, Ohio has the second largest gay and lesbian population in America in the 1990s, which I didn't know about. So I learned a lot from them. Good friends. But look, the tippers were generous. I have to be honest, in that community, and I did quite well. And they had Michelob Light on draft, and I once got a $100 tip because the restaurant had Michelob Light, and I had to split that with the bartender. I admitted it because the bartender was like, yeah, we get that sometimes because you don't find Michelob Light on tap. My point is this: I didn't expect that I would get tipped. Like, I can get lost on tangents here. I never expected to get tipped. When I got tipped, I saw it as a gift, and I felt great. There were foreigners that came in to eat, and some of them wouldn't tip at all. And yeah, I felt a little bit upset, but I never really got angry because it's like life. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. All you can do is the best that you can do. You serve the food that the best you can. You say your name. Hi, my name is John. I'll be your server for today. Would you like to start off with our daily specials? How about a pot of our flour pot bread? Like you do the best that you can do with a smile. Even when you have a bad day, you keep on working hard. Your feet hurt at the end of it. I think it was like $2.40 an hour was the standard hourly wage. I would get paid like $60 a month or $60 a week from the restaurant for actual worked time. It wasn't a lot. And then the tips, and you would have to claim your tips, and you'd have to pay taxes on that and all that. But I didn't expect it. And now it's like it's expected. It's like you must tip, and I don't like that. It's not expected. And everybody who grew up in the 1980s were like, you just want to slap the younger generation and goes, look, and they say you shouldn't go out and eat if you're not going to tip. I said you shouldn't be expecting a tip, because if you're not, then you're probably going to get a bigger one. It's fate. So I think the tipping maybe has ruined what kind of stories, John? I don't know. I'm just going off here, all right? You can't go to Columbus, Ohio. Like, you learn a lot of things in Columbus, Ohio. It's a big city. It's an amazing city. It's a diverse city. But yeah, I was very lucky. I supported in the 1996 presidential campaign. I got to shake hands with Bill Clinton, and I got to go to Iowa as part of the Ohio delegation of the college Republicans. So I supported both sides in college, which is great. I wasn't one or the other. I won't tell you how I voted, but it was pretty cool to go in a bus to Iowa and then get a chance to meet with Bob Dole, shake his. He had a problem with one hand, and shake his hand, and then shake his wife's hand, Elizabeth Dole. They were so nice. I was in the background on CNN at the Cedar Rapids thing, cheering. That was fun. But I also got to shake hands with Bill Clinton, which was pretty cool. His hands are like massive. That was all kind of neat, being part in Columbus, Ohio. You're in the center of it all. See, I got off on a tangent. Bottom line, and Ohio was really contested back then. The bottom line is that, look, tipping culture is a little bit out of hand in the U.S., but Japanese, they don't tip, and Japanese workers don't expect tips. And what does that do? It means that they work for the sake of doing the best that they can do. It's this omotenashi spirit, and not everybody has it. They're like part-time jobs. They just want to get the money. I know that. But I learned one thing. There's a reason why the streets of Tokyo are so clean, because everybody really cares about the job they do. They care about the place in which they live. You went to Iowa. My husband is from Iowa. Yeah, I went to the University of Iowa too. Got to go inside the stadium and got to hand out leaflets and stuff, volunteer. I had friends on both sides of the aisle. I'm not running for political office, but that was actually a really good time. We stayed in hotel rooms in Iowa, eating buffalo wings and sharing a beer or two, and it was a good time, the bus ride over there. First time I think I got to cross the Mississippi. That was the first time I crossed the Mississippi. But you can see the streets here are quite clean. And there's a reason why. We love our city. We are very proud of it. There's no graffiti. There's very little crime. And it shows when you come here to Tokyo. You don't need to tip for this. This is free for you, all right? You don't need to tip the amazing service that you get here. Maybe buy something instead. But it's led to really good service, and that's the most important thing. I did go to Ohio State. I was part of Ohiowa, which was a group of Ohio State students and residents from Columbus that got on a bus and went to Iowa for the Ohiowa in January too. Oh my God, Iowa is so cold in January. It's even colder than Ohio. We got a chance to do political stuff in 1996. That was cool. I got to be on TV and stuff and meet people, and I still have a sign. One of the what was it? Dole. Who was running with Dole? Oh, the football player, Dole, and he wasn't there. Bob Dole and the other guy, the football player from the Buffalo Bills. He was a really good guy too. Seemed good on TV, anyways. I never met him, but. I have a signed poster from that 96 campaign from Bob Dole. I found it in the basement in my house the other day when I was back in the US. There's aburi soba. Shout out to Randy Santel for eating like 6 bowls of this stuff. Jack Kemp, that's right. So I have a Dole Kemp poster. Of course, he lost the election. Bill Clinton won another term, but I can't say that the 1990s were bad. They were really good. So I'm not going to complain about that. There's no politics involved here. Although I just talked about politics for quite a while, didn't I? All these restaurants here, you won't find a tip jar. It's just weird for me that I saw this today. And I don't know what the business is thinking, but look, perhaps they make an extra 15% for the company and they put it there and then they give, I don't know if the workers actually get this money. I think a journalist, that's not me, should confirm it. That's a really nice picture there. How much of that money goes to the actual workers? I would like to know that. You see all sorts of stuff in Tokyo. There's a Kisaten, Mikado. That building looks like it's from the 1980s. The spiral staircases were so popular. The disco era. This is also for, I think it's just down the street here. For those that watched Shogun, the drama, you can see Anjin-san's house in Nihonbashi. There's a marker here. Just search the archives of this channel and you'll find it. Harris, how dare you ask me about baby number 2? It's bad luck. At 51 years of age, I'm struggling to keep up with little Leo. So this is a great, I like this Nihonbashi. This used to be the old fish market before it was Tsukiji and now Toyosu. It used to be this street. And a lot of old merchants. Actually, I think it was along the riverside, but a lot of old merchants, the Bank of Japan. You can see it's just got a lot of wealth in here. And there's Nihonbashi. They're going to be putting this highway underground eventually. There's some prefectural stores here. So it's, yeah, I don't like the spiral staircases, but they're fun if you want to dance on them and make a video, I guess. Saw some stuff on TikTok. I kind of downloaded the app and was considering last week. Kanai's like, why don't you do TikTok? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. So maybe I'll put some videos on there, see what happens. I don't have a lot of time for that, watching TikTok and stuff. It's like I always wondered why that dude has got a hat. I like that hat. Looks like my hiking hat. It's a beautiful building, brand new. It just went up. Wow, look at that. That's sleek. Skyline has changed so much. Nihonbashi. You used to be able to, from this bridge on clear days, you used to be able to see to Mount Fuji. Now you can't even see to Tokyo Station, which is 300 meters away. It's pretty crazy. But they're going to be moving this highway underground. This is Nihonbashi, which is that ukiyo-e, woodblock print you saw of that bridge in Tokyo with Mount Fuji. That's this. So, and I think that the alley this way is where you'll see the marker for Anjin-san. I'll show you where it is in the YouTube video. It is a really nice building. Yeah, I don't find tip jars at the Starbucks either. I don't know. I have tipped at Starbucks. Hold on a second. Nice. Okay, I just confirmed there is no tip jar at the Starbucks. And I said I was just looking for a tip jar. And I just left. Hot. Signal is not good here. The only reason I'm walking here is because I'm going on my bicycle. Since we're ending the live stream, I don't mind going on a little bit longer. Some guy wrote in a nice comment. He said, if your videos were only 15 minutes, I'd watch more. I said, well, that's actually pretty good advice. I'll try to put all the pertinent information in the first 15 minutes and then just cut it later. I think the sweet spot, though, is a little bit longer. People are watching on TV more on YouTube. Right now, 73% of viewers on my main channel are watching on TV. (73% of viewers are watching my main channel on TV. This is the launch point of a really cool boat that will take you around the canals of Nihonbashi around Tokyo. I would recommend it. It's pretty neat. I don't think it's very expensive either. You can see there's some low bridges here, but it's a historical way and a different way to see the city of Tokyo. There's my bicycle. I always park here. If you have any questions, you can leave them down in the comments below. If you haven't already, please go check out my latest video. It just passed 52,000 views now. It's starting actually to pick up. More viewers, or the click-through rate that is going up. So more people are starting to click it, even though the event is done on August 9th for Nagasaki. I think it's a really good story. I appreciate all the comments in there. I'm reading them, and I'll tell you what, if you leave a comment there, I'm gonna do a live stream reading some of the comments there because they're very interesting. There's a lot of people who have maybe somewhat broken up here, and there's a lot of people that are really based, really good, and you can see it in the comments in this video. It's fascinating to see how people are reacting to this video. Go check that out on my main channel. I made it not. It's not a breakdown of the history of World War II. It's the bombing and what happened afterwards in only Nagasaki. And I think Nagasaki deserved to have a dedicated video like that because a lot of you guys had asked me about that in the community. All right, until then, probably sometime maybe tonight or tomorrow, I'll do a Nagasaki reaction video of the comments there, talk about it, and maybe come outside. I might do more motorcycling. Peter and I are talking about that. Peter said he's got a video dropping. I saw his thumbnail for it yesterday, kind of gave him some advice. I think it worked out better. Peter's gonna release a new video on his channel, and it's a really good one. And it's about, I don't wanna spoil it, but it's about accessibility, a topic that, I always try to point out ramps and elevators at subway stations and answer people that come here in wheelchairs, or come here that might be visually impaired a little bit. I like giving that sort of information on the side in these live streams, and we have a lot of people that are watching. And Peter's video is amazing. I think he did a great job with it. It's about wheelchairs and motorcycles. That's all I can say. And I'm proud of him for making a video like this. He's got other stuff to do, but yeah, I'll be one of the first people watching it when it drops, if it hasn't already. PVG. And maybe he'll come up on a live stream and talk with us about it, because I'd like to do more with accessibility and some of the getting around the city of Tokyo and what inspired him to make this video. I'd like to ask my friend all that stuff. Would you own a car there if the money were no object? Yeah, because then I could pay for parking. But it was like having a car at Ohio State. You'd have to park it unless you had money. You'd have to park your car on West Campus, which is like a 30-minute walk, and in winter, not fun. So very few people brought actual cars on campus. You didn't need it because we had the High Street bus. If you wanted to go down to the Capitol building, you just jump on a bus for $1, or you could walk it. But there's some dangerous neighborhoods in between there. I didn't know that when I was there as a freshman, though. I would run through them. I'd ran to the Capitol. Crazy story, in the Capitol building, 1992, autumn. I ran downtown, the Capitol building, was running around, and I found out they had a KKK rally right outside the state capitol in 1992. I was a little bit shocked. I didn't believe my eyes because we didn't see that where I grew up. It was interesting. They actually treated me very nicely. I said, I'm sorry, I got to get through. I was like, oh, okay. They let me through. I was like, well, it's like one of those Forrest Gump moments. I'm not joking. It was very early on in 1992, in the autumn when it was running. I ran really far distances back then. I ran around the state capitol building, and it was a very weird, surreal experience, like something from Forrest Gump. Ohio has it all, literally. They were actually very nice. I don't know. I was a little freaked out, but they weren't too bad. All right, guys, take care. I'll see you in a live stream in the next couple of days. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'm very happy to answer them all. But steps of life, I would buy a car, and I'm considering it. And on Monday, I might be taking you somewhere outside of Tokyo to a place where the next video is going to be taking part. I got to film one more scene. They're racists, but polite racists. I think that's one way to say it. If you're going to be racist, be polite. Don't be racist, ever. Don't judge people by the color of their skin. It doesn't make any sense anymore. We know better. We know a lot better. All right, guys, take care. I'll see you soon. Love you guys. Mata ne. Weather is actually really nice. Low humidity. It feels more like September than August today. The rains are gone. High pressure system coming in. We'll see if it stays like this.